Hello, YouTubers. DOBRA'SGLAM here. This is your first time joining me. Well, if you know me, you know we'll go into details and inties of our tutorials. I know I've been taking a while to film, and yes, I'm finally dropping a video. I've had this video in my drafts for God knows how long. So let's just dive right into the video. First off, we all know we need to shape our brows and make sure that our brows are simultaneous to how we want our brow shape to look. That's the most important thing when shaping your brows, taking out the brow bone, and yes, clean that face. Whether the person just got out of a shower or anything, just make sure that you're going to clean that face perfectly. So whatever product you're laying on the face is not going to go into a dirty or clogged pores. Then when you apply your skincare, make sure that you're applying it on layers, and do not, I repeat, do not apply skincare on top of skincare that is not dried. Like you see, she's holding a fan. I went in first with my vitamin C and I used my hand to massage each layer into the face. I repeated the same thing with my moisturizer, and yes, this is me applying my primer. I'm using a silicone primer for this video, and I'm going to be putting products that I remember at the top because yes, I did this video like a long time ago. And one thing with foundation matches, do not forget you have to make sure that your foundation is exactly the same, because there are two things that are going to happen when that client leaves your seat. Is either the foundation is going to settle in to be darker, the foundation is going to be brighter depending on how that particular product settles in. So to be on the safe side, you have to test it on the neck, client's neck, and wait for like a few seconds to see how it settles in into the person's skin tone before you apply the foundation. If not, that's why we go to parties and we end up seeing faces like the foundation is not the same color. Originally, when the makeup artist did them, they were the same color, but later on, the thing settled and it's either brighter or darker. Since specifically today is a bridal look, I'm sure you wouldn't want your client's foundation to be darker after getting into the altar, obviously. And one thing you need to understand about applying foundation is make sure that it is very lightweight. Fine, you might be getting a full coverage foundation, but as much as it covers, not so much that it becomes cakey and patchy. For the contour, you need to understand that when you're trying to do a bridal glam, you're not supposed to be going overly heavy handed. The idea is for your bride to look like a baby in our whites, because over too much makeup on whites just doesn't sit in right. So you want to be as soft as possible with your contour, and I didn't add any other products when I took the brush to the nose area because I didn't want it to be too dark. I wanted it to be subtle, and I did contour the eyes because I was preparing myself for the foundation I was going to use. Then for blush, I went in with pink because I was in my pink girl era when I did this makeup, if I'm not mistaken. And she was a light skin, so I was feeling the whole pink vibes. Knowing the difference between when it blushes too much and when it blushes enough, it's something that you should actually learn, because yes, I still have chances to get this blush to be softer if I want it to be. So you have to be really careful. And one over, or should I say underestimated thing that I've noticed we do as makeup artists is ignoring color correctors. I think my tongue just got twisted over the color correctors. For the concealer, what I do is I mix some moisturizer, a little bit of it, to give my eyes that soft, dewy look. It works so well. And then I apply it on the beauty blender directly before going in into the eyes. Now this gives me a chance to blend the concealer where I want it to be, like exactly where I want it to be, and the concealer isn't too much, it's the right amount, and I can still go ahead and layer it if I feel like it's not enough. And yes, going back to color correctors, please don't forget to add your color correctors. At best, use the darkest eyeshadow concealer, because yes, it gets ashy. Your makeup is ashy. You might not know it because you've not gotten to that stage yet, but eventually you will see the old pictures when you get better. So learn it now. Thank you. Back to the concealer. This method of applying concealer works very well for me because it gives me the chance to layer, and I don't know why, but we've all underestimated the part where you put products on Beauty Blender and put it on the face. Trust me, it's better than putting the products on the face than putting it on the Beauty Blender. I went in with a lighter concealer to highlight the face, obviously. Talking about concealer again, knowing the right amount, literally, when it comes to makeup, I think there is a thin line between too much, too small, too little, and not enough. And then there's a thin line between, yes, this is the perfect amount. Knowing that that's the right amount of concealer to put under the eyes is going to save you a lot of passionate, because eventually, when you put in your setting powder and your pressed powder, it's going to be too much powder for less weighted found concealer under the eyes. But if you put in too much, you're just going to have a literally caked face under the eyes. So there's just a right amount. And using your beauty blender just makes that easier for you to know, because you see that okay, this is not enough. I need to let it dry a bit and layer it. And by using your beauty blender, I mean adding the concealer to the beauty blender and putting it directly on the eyes. Now I'm going in with a pressed powder, brighter than the skin. And one thing you, if you can clearly see with this my makeup routine, is I blend everything immediately. I don't, be contour, powder, setting powder. I blend it immediately. I put it on the face. That's where you get the passioness from. That's where you do. That's where you need the filter to cover the lines that were created because you waited for the product to either dry too much or sit where it wasn't even supposed to sit in the first place. Then you apply a skin color of pressed powder all over the face. Make sure it's a skin color. If you notice, I tested the powder on her neck as well. And this time, if you have too much blush, this is your perfect opportunity to clear out that excess blush. Now, there's one thing I feel the need to address when it comes to makeup artists and clients, basically everybody in between. Knowing the right amount of powder to put on the right amount of foundation you have on the face also helps the oiliness. Like I did say, I emphasize on little amount of foundation every single time because the foundation I was using was actually mixed. So it wasn't just foundation, it was mixed, so it was very, very light because it wasn't thick at all. Putting the right amount of foundation on the face is not going to cut it alone. You have to put the right amount of powder to complement that foundation on the face. It's not, I'm not talking about packing the entire palette into the face, but enough to hold down the oil of the foundation you're using. That's very important. And just as I went in light with my liquid contour, I did go in very light handed with my dry contour as well, because I'm just going over the same things I did with the foundation or the liquid products rather. When it comes to blush as well, you have to just apply the right amount. Like you have always have a chance to go over your blush and correct anything you want to correct. But I'm a blush girly, okay? I'm sorry if you're not, but well, I am. So you're gonna be getting a lot of blushy with me. I did put in the blush around close to the eyes because I was trying to get that undertone, pink undertone eyes. I do have two makeups that I put actual pink under the eyes, which is actually really, really cute. But yes, for your bride, you're not trying to do so much. And when it comes to your setting spray, like at this point, after putting all the powder products before your setting powder, you want to spray the face. You want it to be soaked. I don't mean dripping shower because there's a thin line with everything. I don't mean dripping, but you want to spray it so it sits the products in. This is what our face is giving, filterless at this point. Quick question: how old were you when you found out that setting powder fixes those creases under the eyes, those tiny ones? I don't mean overly serious ones, because if you were even going to go back to this video, before I applied the press powder, I went back in to blend my concealer a bit to make sure that those lines are faded. So don't say because I told you that setting powder is going to cover that, you're just going to go in and pack your press powder on top of very creased on the eyes. No, it don't work that way. When baking, one thing you need to understand, like I said earlier, is blend as you go. Because one thing, what happens when you don't blend those lines you baked on is the excess, any line you don't need. If it's not a nose control line, you don't need that line. Blend it out the moment you finish with the setting powder, because what happens is those lines will settle, and that's where you get the extra lines that you're struggling to take out from when you're doing your makeup. Yeah, blend them. Blending is the thing when it comes to skin work. Blend. You know what you notice right now is every time I go in with my setting powder, any place I don't want the line, like for the down of the jaw lines, what I did was I blended the lines underneath because I don't want lines. I just want lines from the jawline area. Blending as you go is going to save you a lot, because that way you don't end up having things to correct or having things that you need filter to cover in the long run of your makeup. Still on the topic of blending, because I wanted softer eyes, I did contour and basically blended the eyes while I was doing the rest of her face. So what I just basically did was went over with a contour color. I mainly used powder for this eyes and I didn't really go heavy handed. I just went very light. I did mention I was prepping this for a bridal look. So what I did was I went in with the same powder I used for contour for a transition color, and since my powder was light handed, I didn't really go with something really heavy. That was just easy to transit with. And I did add a little bit of blush to the inner corners of the eyes. So that's why you see that pop of color mixed with the transition color. And for the other part of our eyes, I just went in with a brighter eyeshadow because I did add a bit of concealer and setting powder to basically define what I wanted to do. Yes, this was not a brow tutorial, so I entirely skipped the brows because I did the brows and then I went back to just define the face and blend out, rather pressing the setting powder into the face. And I did go in with a pressed powder to touch up anywhere I felt like was too white. And because the powder was obviously a lot, I had to calm it with setting powder. And yes, I did go heavy handed. And this is one trick I use and I've been using for God knows how long, and it's been magical. Is spraying your set beauty blender, like a clean part of your beauty blender, or definitely a new beauty blender, with setting spray and then going over the face with it. This is magical as it helps you serve as an extra layer of setting. Well, just for touch ups, which is very necessary, which is one of the reasons why you get patchiness. Your makeup isn't really giving what it should be giving sometimes. It's because you don't go for touch ups. Yes, it's okay to add extra pressed powder under the eyes, just enough, not too much, not too much to look patchy or anything, but enough. And then for the inner corners of the eyes, remember the patchy line, because I know, because we've all had it, that patchy line that we get in the inner corner of the eyes. You can go in either with the color of setting powder with eyeshadow, or you can go in with a different color just to, put that place together. You can see the difference it makes. For this particular look, I used a bit of baby pink to, define the inner corners of the eyes. The only difference between my makeup and your makeup is that I blend every single step. Like, I mean, every single step as I go. As soft as the glam looks, obviously, we need to go in with a soft lips as well to complement the fact that she was going to be wearing white. And I did make a mistake. I forgot to moisturize the lips, which is very important for your skin prep routine. She had a bit of a chapped lips, so yeah, she had to take that out like before I went in with the gloss. And like I said, when I say blend as you go, and do not forget your touch ups, those are very important. Just go over the makeup, look at what you need to touch up and touch it up. For the nose highlight, I like to do it in the bridge of the nose and the tip of the nose only. And then when it comes to glazing my cheeks with gloss, I've been doing that before I could remember, and now it's actually trending. If you ask me, one of the most important tips that I've taught is blending as you go. That's going to save you a lot of passionate. Secondly, being intentional with your makeup. Yes, that includes touching up your makeup on a consistent. The moment you see an error or flaw, touch it up. Your clients don't see it, but you do, and that's all it needs for you to start touching up. Thank you for watching this video. And when it comes to Dobra, you're always gonna get intentional and detailed tutorials. Thank you very much for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.